Welcome to Inside Integration. My name is Chris. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, two doors down to the left there, Jayson. And today we are joined by our new team member, Jesse Paule. So, Jesse, welcome to the show.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys. My
Yeah,
first podcast
yeah, man, our
ever.
pleasure. It's and
Wow,
there's
we're the first ones to like kick the door open and like
Dude, it's
you're
all over now. I'm going to start my own right after this.
no, that's awesome.
and that's I mean you'll know it's like it's our first one every episode as well. So don't don't sweat it too much. We're still,
Exactly.
things are still breaking, still levels, whatever. The sound might be messed up in the final mix because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, we have a weekly visit between Chris and I just prior to these calls or before our shows where it's like, what's broken this week? Why can't I see you?
It's every
What
episode.
changed? Nothing changed. I didn't move my computer. It didn't even turn off.
I came in here after the weekend and everything is a cluster, and I
It's great.
just don't know. But yeah, so technical issues notwithstanding, Jesse, we are so happy to have you on board the Oliver team. For those at home who haven't seen it on socials or got the email blast, Jesse is our rep in the Portland area, so Oregon and southern Idaho, right? You have a stripe across there.
Yeah, and I would say Southern Washington too.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
guessing.
Yeah, it's
I don't
basically
really
Hey,
know.
buddy, back off.
it's only that little bit of southern Washington for tax-free shopping, right? It just lets you get over the
That's it.
border.
Yeah, that's it. They come across the bridge to buy stuff and then they go back
Yeah,
home.
it incorporates the Costco that's literally on the river on the border, right? That's how that goes.
Exactly. Exactly.
But you come on board with you've been in this industry a long time. You were on the distribution side, directly previous to us. So I'm sure you're bringing a lot of insights there, and a lot of things that you're bringing on board that can help our dealers a lot. So one of the questions that we ask everybody who comes on our show, whether they like it or not, is what got you into this industry, this weird, wild CI world? Like, how did you get here?
Yeah. So having a construction background, after I toured for a little while after the Art Institute, so I have a degree in audio production.
See,
I came off
now I feel
tour.
even worse about how bad our
Oh,
podcast. Now that we
that's all
know we've
right,
got a
dude.
professional on the dais here.
Dude, I'm using some free AKG wired
There you
headphones on my
go.
Dell laptop, so my gear is quite limited. I don't have a dedicated room, as you can see.
It's
You might hear
efficient
some.
though, right? Like it's
Do-
all you needed. It's like the
it's
bare minimum.
it's the bare minimum. It works. You can hear me. You can see me.
Look,
My
done,
network is
check.
my network is Eero.
Hey,
You might
Right?
good plug. Excellent.
There we go. Nicely done.
Nicely done.
you might hear some dogs bark or a teenager or two walk by, but
That's cool.
yeah. So after touring for a while, I came home and we were on this huge break. So I had a buddy. This is when I lived in Seattle, and him and his dad owned a company remodeling houses. So I was just helping him out because that's my background. And this house was totally gutted, super big house. It was on one of the canals, and I see a van pull up. I'm inside doing stuff. This guy gets out and he goes into there was like this bonus room in the back of the house. And that guy comes in there with boxes of wire and he starts pulling wire. And I'm like, oh, I wonder what that is. So I just go start picking the guy's brain. He's like, I'm pulling speaker wire. This is going to be a theater room. And, I talked to him for like an hour. And I saw in his van, it said definitive audio.
Huh.
So
Another great plug. Good plug.
did that for a little while. And one of the bass player in my band ended up working there. I don't know how he got hooked up with that. He came from Cochrane, another dealer up in Seattle, and he was working at Definitive, and they needed more techs. So I ended up working for Definitive Audio, and that was kind of like my step into the integration world. Of course, back then integration wasn't part of the conversation. There
Sure.
was audio, video. We did do Crestron, so there was control and automation. But at a certain point back in the day, it was like you had your stereo guy, your AV guy, you had your security guy, and your surveillance guy, and eventually your network guy, and everyone was kind of separate. But
Right.
yeah, Definitive Audio. So that was 2004, and that's what got my start into the industry.
Nice. All right. And I mean, if you know, if you're going to start somewhere, start
I
at
was gonna
definitive.
say, wow, okay.
That's a pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. First time I went in their showroom, the one in Bellevue, not the one that they just recently closed, but the one in Bellevue, and I was blown away. I didn't know that level of home audio video. That was like something I'd never seen before. I mean, my parents always had a stereo, big speakers, but it was like, Radio Shack stuff.
Sure.
I I knew there was something else. There was different echelons, but when I started working at Def Odd and I went into their showroom and I was kind of blown away by it,
Yeah.
And it,
that got me hooked because I was like, oh, there's a whole separate level to this or
Yeah.
multiple levels. But
Even if you don't know what Macintosh is, when you walk in and you see like the wall of Mac, you know that that's something that is special, right? Like
yeah,
regardless
oh
of your
yeah,
position on brand or whatever, there's some of those kinds of experiences where you go in and you're like, "Oh wow, we did a little promo video with our friends at Definitive, and their motto is doing donuts in the supercar, in the parking lot of the dealership. It's sort of like being able to test drive some of the speakers and some of the systems they have in their space. So yeah, that's what I mean. There's some pedigree out there, right, Chris? Like, where did you start? Oh, this guy just pulls up in his van, just talking
right.
to him, and
Right.
what did it say on the side of the van? Oh,
Free candy. It said
yeah,
free candy.
yeah,
That's where mine started.
free
kittens.
candy, blue tarps
Oh
covering the
no,
windows.
yeah, it says definitive
I
on
think
the
there was a
side. Like,
wizard painted on the side. I don't remember.
Yeah,
It was a long
geez.
time ago for me.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a,
there's guys in LA that are you know who definitive is, right? Kind of set the bar back in the day. So
Yeah.
yeah,
what
it was
a
cool stuff,
what a
and that
great
was like,
start.
it was, and seeing all that high end stuff, it made my mind think like, oh, there's kind of a correlation there between like high end audio and pro audio. Some of that stuff looked similar to me, so I was intrigued by it. But like you said, you look at a stack of Macintosh stuff or whatever else they had in there, you're like, oh wow, that's cool. And then that's where the journey began.
Yeah. And again,
And so working there for a while, and then I had to move to Portland for family stuff. And at the time, Mark Ormston was the owner, right? And Mark Leclerc was the GM. So I told him I had to leave, and he's like, Marco wants to talk to you. He was like, okay. So I sat in Marco's office, told him what was going on. He's like, let me make a few calls, and I had a job in Portland before I even moved, which was
wow.
cool. So that's how I ended up in Portland.
Nice.
And a totally different experience, by the way. Where I
Yeah,
ended up, where I came from, and where I ended up was like, this isn't the same thing. This is like I'm pre-wiring track homes here. What's going on?
right.
Yeah. There's,
Yeah, there's a spectrum out there for everything, and I think speaking for myself, and I know speaking for Chris as well, from our kind of shared, maybe not exactly shared, but similar, I know,
close enough. Right.
upbringing. You gotta do some dirt out there before you can before you can get up and get clean and be big and shiny and do it right. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so then you make a shift in your career. You go from kind of being out there in the trenches to working for the guys that are feeding all of the troughs with product. What's the move from tech to working at the distribution level, like what's that? That's a hard
It
left,
was,
right?
yeah, it was an interesting transition, and I can base all of it on the economy at the time. So after being here for 3 years, the company I was working for started to lay people off. It was 08, 09,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So
Sure.
Oh, I might
economic
remember
crash.
something about those days.
Yep. The big recession.
And it was one of those, we're going to lay you off, but we'll bring you back in a couple months when things get better. They completely went out of business. So, and right after that, my second kid, my son was born. So unemployed,
Of
kids
course.
born,
Yeah.
like, I first time I collected unemployment for an extended period of time because it's like, well, I could go pump gas, but that's not
Sure.
going to cover daycare. Fortunately, my wife was still working. And
That's
then
a thing in Oregon for those people that don't
So,
know.
Jesse,
It's a New Jersey thing.
Jesse, me and you, we are kindred spirits, buddy. We are forever linked by pumping your own gas and
Sorry to
working at a gas
focus on
station.
minutia, but I was just like, oh shit, these guys have got something in common. That's like a weird scar on this country that they live. Like,
they just
like
changed
what
it here.
is that hustle about? Like, no,
Yeah.
you can't pump your own gas, you wild man. Well, there's got to be an urchin from the streets that has to come over.
I was that street urchin. That's what I did.
I almost was too. I almost became that guy. They did change it recently.
I was pretty sure.
Now gas stations here are half and half. They got mini service and self service.
Well, I mean, you gotta ease all the Oregonians into pumping your own gas, right? Like, you know.
I remember getting yelled at when first moving here. They would yell at you like, you what are you doing? You can't do that. Like, I'm pumping gas. Like, what? No, it was quite weird. So yeah, the market crash, company goes out of business, unemployed, kids born. My daughter was 4 at the time, and then, you know, in those, no matter what the economy's doing, the security business almost explodes. Like it's always something people need, right? So another friend had moved down here from Seattle, and he was managing a branch of a security company. So I went and did that for 3 years, just installing security because people are desperate, nobody has jobs, kind of like what's going on now.
Yeah, a little bit. It's starting to feel right.
So, you know, I was doing that, just installing security for 3 years. No AV, nothing, just security. And, you know, people know people, my wife's coworkers, mother-in-law. We all went to a Seahawks game, and she worked at EDI. She was like the accounting person, and they were looking for a sales guy that knew security. So I'm like, yeah, I want to do something different. So that's how I ended up in distribution. It didn't quite work out how they thought it would. Like, oh, this guy knows security. He's going to make us a ton of money on security systems. Like, well, not when you sell 2 gig. Like, that's not a security system. Okay. Not to talk smack about a product, but so I was there for 3 years. Weird company. So that company, it was like 130 something years old, family owned. They were in their, I don't know, 3rd or 4th generation, and the owner was a super odd guy. It was a terrible place to work. It was. I was like the morale police. I was trying to, you know, lighten people's day every day. There's people that had been there for 17 years that hadn't had a raise in 10 years, and I'm like, what?
Don't you tell me to have a good day, boy.
Yeah, you can. I don't know if you ever talk to dealers from the Portland or Vancouver area. Ask them about going into EDI and the dark cloud over that place. And so anyway, after 3 years of that, it was kind of like I feel like I had jobs for 3 years at a time. I went back to Alaska to see my parents, which is where I'm from. And I come back, and I was the guy that opened up the will call counter, and I did everything there. Cooked for barbecues, and, you know, all kinds of stuff. They had a CI store that I managed. So I come in at 7:00. Operations officer's there, and he's like, "Come to my office." And I had this feeling. It's like, we're the only ones in the building. I'm like, huh. Okay. so he fires me. And it wasn't his idea. It was like the owner always put him up to it. He was like he was this little errand boy. And I was like, so what are we going to put on the paperwork? What's the reason? He's like, you're overqualified. I don't know.
Jeez.
So I had become, you know, friends with some of the dealers who were around our age. And, I was like, grabbed all my stuff, went to my truck, texted a couple of dealers, and I was like, you'll never guess what happened. They were like, what? And both of them separately said, call Scott at Custom Plus. They were talking about Scott Foco.
Oh, sure.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah,
we know Scott.
I call the branch, and the other Scott answers, and I start telling him, yeah, you're Scott. And he's like, oh, no, you need the other Scott. So I had to call back, talk to Foco.
Right.
And fortunately, like that following week, Rich Kalin was going to be in town, and at the time he was the sales manager. So within like less than 2 weeks, I was working at Custom Plus.
Wow.
And then I had been there for the last 7 years actually, I was technically there for the second acquisition, but the Snap acquisition, which kind of made sense, right? You got this big e-com monster in the AV world, and they acquired, you know, physical locations to have, you know, people that you could go in and talk to. It kind of made sense. And then they went public and things started to change, and then a few years later, the whole ADI thing. And so
Yeah.
Bob,
Wow, some inside insight.
Well,
So
yeah,
inside integration insight.
not to mention we were changing over the ERP system, and so Bob couldn't have texted me at a better time to say, hey, you want to give this a shot? And I was like, let me think about it. Yes.
how long did it take you to decipher the text message?
Oh, well, it was a long text. No,
No, it came from a fake phone number. He's
right.
like,
Yeah.
there's no way that
There's
this
no
is
way.
a real
It's
phone number.
like, okay, I used to work for Bob, and it was a long text,
Sure.
and but his phone number, yeah, it didn't look right. So
There you go.
I take a screenshot. I send it over to Mike DeMarco, and I'm like, "Do you saw Bob in your phone?" He's like, "Oh yeah, that's Bob. He's coming for
He
you."
can tell. Sure.
Like,
Yep.
all right.
Okay. It's like handwriting recognition. Like you can absolutely, you know, that blue bubble is from one guy.
Yeah. So yeah, and to the DeMarco and I are still friends. So he was the first one I reached out to. I was like, "Is this legit?" And he's like, "That's Bob."
Yep.
I'm like, all right, I'm going for it. I'm going for it.
To explain the comment to anybody listening, our fearless leader has a phone number that looks like something you'd hear on a movie. It's
Right.
like,
I believe it's
give me
555.
99999. And you're
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah,
What is this phone number? Who has a number like that? So
It didn't look real. And then coming from working for Snap, it's a huge corporation, right? So they have departments for everything. So they got the cyber security team. So they're always making you aware of like
Sure.
phishing
It's a
emails,
phishing scam, right?
text,
Right.
phishing texts. Like, so that was the first thing I thought of. Was like, I don't know, what?
a
And so,
robot wants
yeah.
me to quit my job and become a sales rep. That's weird. That doesn't make sense.
That can't be. Well, that's great,
So-
man. Yeah, that's awesome. We're I mean, super happy to have you on the team, and
Yeah, agreed.
It's-
Yeah, me more so than you. Let's just be honest here, okay? Because
Yeah.
Just lighten your load a little bit.
just a little bit. Like, I haven't quite lost 250 pounds yet, but I'm working on it. So it's like it feels like it feels like you're gonna slide right in there, and again, to know that you come from the industry, and to know that you're Family Guy. You're not out here running the streets kind of thing. I mean, maybe you are. I'm just
Yeah, we're just
some
making assumptions.
very broad generalizations right now. But the reality is that I mean, you come from this line of work, and I think there's very few people out there that are qualified, to really excel in a role like this. So, that kind of background and experience, I think, pays dividends. And for anybody listening, again, Jesse's a good dude and knows his stuff. So it's nice to have a 1-2 punch when you talk about a combination like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I just from my perspective, I'm just happy. Maybe I don't have to. I mean, I'm sure I'll still take him, but I don't have to take the Jayson Savage overwhelmed because he's literally running 3 states by himself. Phone calls anymore. Looking forward to that.
Where are you right now? I'm mad. I'm driving mad.
I'm in some valley. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's some trees.
You're gonna get every other word. It's cool.
Yeah. But no, I mean, we're
Yeah,
stoked.
so you still
And
get those
again,
calls and emails. To be like, send that to Jesse. Don't call me anymore.
Oh no.
I'm sure it's all coming. I mean,
No, and
they're used.
I mean,
They get used to calling you.
yeah, well, inside baseball, right? Like, but I mean, you're getting all the communication I'm getting, so I think you're going to be in much better position to grab the baton and run with it and make sure everybody's feeling the love down there. We've got
Yeah,
some-
it is interesting. I mean, when you do one part of the industry for 10 years, and then you switch to I was always familiar with reps and firms, and and seeing them in the branch and stuff, but it is completely different.
Sure.
I'm learning the schedule thing, right? Like when you manage a branch or just a sales guy in a branch, you go there every day. There's going to be a ton of stuff to do all the time, nonstop. And this is different, right? Like, like today I was going through and trying to find training videos, right? I'm trying to learn our product. Some of it I already know, but some of them I'm trying to sharpen up on. and just trying to find any information on it. That way, when I do get a call or I'm visiting someone, I have information to go off of, right? So and I've been making appointments with guys locally just to see them outside of the branch is awesome. I get to go out in the world. It's it's
Yeah,
fantastic.
that's
Yeah.
definitely nice getting out from behind that desk. I'm sure, right? Like,
They even let you
it's-
have lunch too. It's pretty cool.
yeah, you don't have to have lunch while you're
I don't
sitting.
know
You don't
what
have
I
to,
didn't know.
you don't have to roll hot dogs every day, bro. Like, I
Oh, dude,
mean,
it was terrible.
I
We
mean,
had a hot dog roller.
God bless you for thinking of the guys that are coming in the door. But I'll say this: probably some of the best hot dogs in that industrial complex that you were serving right there. So, I mean,
Might
I
have been the
always I
only
always
ones
enjoyed
other than
them.
that 7-Eleven down the street, but those are questionable.
Yeah,
We always
well, I
said
mean,
that.
yours were priced better though. That was always the deciding factor for me. I was like, oh, these ones are priced way better. Just grab one and
Always,
go.
always Hebrew nationals, and yes,
Oh,
free of
see,
charge.
Sure. The
yeah.
answer to a higher authority, I believe, is the tagline. But I'm,
That's right. That must be good for you, right?
yeah,
Well, and there's only seven in the pack, right? Because it's God's number.
Oh,
still get
That's
charged for
true.
8. But anyway. So as it's absolutely fascinating that there's a and not to dwell on this too much, but the fact that there is a pseudo competition amongst a certain industrial park of who has the best hot dogs is mind blowing to me, and I think that's great. That's a thing. I think that's wonderful. But yeah, it's great, man. We're super happy you're on the team. I did
me
want to
too.
get your thoughts a little bit because you were, and I'm probably we didn't hit this in the pre-show, so don't think of it as a gotcha, but it's
It's
kind of
all
a
right.
gotcha.
We're
What's
gonna put you on the spot.
yeah, we kind of want to get your thoughts a little bit on you were inside this many-headed monster. What do you think of the big merger, the big snap, Resideo, Control 4, Claire? Now they're all one big amalgamation. Like, what's your thought? Are these kind of consolidations good for the industry? Are they bad for the industry? Is it just sort of okay? It's just a little bit bigger, and we just kind of keep going. What's your take?
What am I allowed to say?
Whatever
I don't.
whatever doesn't get us sued, and
Yeah,
well, I guess you can't really sue us. It's just our opinion. So
yeah,
as long as you're
sure.
not
I
under
mean,
NDA, whatever your opinions are, you're more than welcome to share
I
them.
didn't. I didn't sign anything. I don't work there anymore. Well, and like I was saying, the Snap Custom Plus thing. So there was AllNet, which is Chicago and
Hmm.
that area. There was MRI, which was New York, and Volutone, which is SoCal, Nevada, I think Arizona, and then Custom Plus was Washington, Northern California, and Oregon, and they were the last ones to get acquired. That at first we were like, well, I don't know what this is, and Oliver Marketing and Custom Plus. I mean, it was interesting, but it made sense.
Hmm.
I think after going through it for a while, I think it
Sure,
made
a
sense.
supermarket that's all, for lack of a better comparison, right? You've got a supermarket for custom AV guys that can go there and get any house brand they want
Yep.
across the country, get support wherever they need it. Kind of,
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of, kind of seems like a no-brainer. You know what I mean? Like,
totally made
fantastic.
sense. Took a long time to transition into like understanding their what they call 1P is the product they manufacture and sell,
Hmm.
right? Getting used to that, bringing it into the warehouse. But after a while, it's like, okay, this is cool. Like, and to come to find out, in my EDI days, everyone who I worked with, they would talk smack about Snap AV. They're like, oh, it's just a Amazon AV. Like
It's the
it's,
competitor.
but
Sure.
once we became part of it at Custom Plus, you come to find out like, oh, all these dealers that have been coming in here, they already buy stuff from Snap, all of them. There might have been a handful that were like, what's
Hmm.
Snap AV? But then those aren't the guys doing real business anyway. But anyone
That's
doing
not the
any real
guys in the
business,
orange pants anymore, right? Like,
no, they're the, you
think
know,
about how far they've come. My gosh.
and there's some talented trunk slammers out there, but
Certainly.
they were already all buying stuff from Snap, and but this new acquisition, I don't know, man, because like I said, once Snap went public, things changed because now you're a bottom line company, right? You've got investors. It's more about profit margin, and you see a little inkling of that from where you sit in the branch, and things felt different. There was a little bit of a disconnect. But we worked through it. It wasn't no big deal. It was like, yeah, we sell stuff and we have to hit our numbers, kind of
Sure.
like we do now. We,
Sure.
we still deal with that here. Like that's part of the gig.
Yep.
But the new acquisition. So I didn't know anything about Resideo, which is like the big company that owns ADI.
You
But
think
to be
about
honest,
how big that company's got to be to own a company as big as ADI, among others.
yeah,
Massive.
yeah. Before the acquisition, 100. I think they said they had a worldwide 195 locations,
Yeah, nuts,
and
bro.
Snap grew into having like 42. But I think if for them it was a smart move because when you are a distributor and a manufacturer, that's huge, right?
Vertical integration.
Because
the house brand.
that's I think that's what they bought, honestly, which on their part, smart move. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, so here if for any listeners that are familiar with the area, the Snap or formerly the Custom Plus Snap branch was in Beaverton. There's an ADI in Wilsonville. It's like a 20-minute drive down I-5. So immediately everyone's like, "Are you guys moving there? Or are they moving here? Like, what's going to happen? We just launched a new website, new ERP system. Like, what?" And none of us knew, and they couldn't tell us anything. They just said business as usual. Don't worry about it. But I think the multi-year plan is consolidation of brick and mortar and portal. So those are probably their goals. And to be honest, that ADI location and the Snap location, neither one of those could facilitate that. So they'd have to lease a new property
Sure.
to make that work. But who knows when that's going to happen?
Right. Okay. So it's still kind of wait and see.
Yeah,
as far as that goes.
I mean, it was finalized like the week. So I gave them 3.5 weeks, almost a month's notice, because I wanted to stay and help them. We had quarterly inventory finished. They were transitioning to ERP. I wanted to make sure the guys were ready for that. But the finalization of the acquisition was right before I left, and yeah, we still knew nothing really. It's like they're not. That multi-year plan, they don't have to tell you till the day before it happens.
Right. Well, of course, especially I mean, we've all worked for large companies before. It's very, you're very much a mushroom to a certain degree, right? You're just kind of in the dark and hey, okay, here's my marching orders. Let me see what I can do here and go forward. But yeah,
Just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming.
Yeah.
Hey, the checks keep clearing. I got a place to go to every day.
Keep swimming.
Sure.
Dory.
Absolutely.
Get going.
That's it.
Yeah, but it's from my perspective. I mean, again, I don't really have an opinion on it either way, other than it just seems like consolidation is the trend in this business, right? Like you've got you've got buying groups that are aligning with dealers. You've got big dealer groups that are buying up. I think popped up in the news today. Daisy just bought another company in Florida. And if you're keeping track at home, like it's happening fast and. Consolidation seems to be the name of the game, right? Consolidate, make it efficient. You've got a business model that works, and it just kind of keeps on going. And
unless the companies involved in the acquisition, if they're private companies, they don't have to tell you anything until
absolutely
the day you're leaving or the day they're making the change. With the Resideo and Snap thing, they had to announce it immediately because they're both public companies, right? So there was their manager emergency meeting on a Sunday night, and then Monday morning the whole world found out, including the people in the branch. So it was strange,
including the people in the meeting.
yeah, exactly.
It was like, I guess we just sold this baby. Like, let's get out of here.
Wowzers.
Man, I've got a club sandwich and a Teton. Let's get out of here.
Let's go.
Sorry, I was emulating what I would do if I was rich and powerful like that.
I need to move the yacht into cell phone range so we can have this call. Okay,
nah, I got a satellite phone. You peasant.
Noob.
What are you talking about?
You plebe.
Take a helicopter to my boat to fly to my plane. Or
there
whatever.
You go. Yeah, exactly. All right. So one other, I mean, and that's fascinating. Thanks for the insights. I
Yeah,
think there's,
Yeah.
that's an unexpected tidbit. And again, in our very deep planning session, it's amazing to me that didn't pop out as like the first thing that we could have talked about.
it's true. It's kind of
Like,
been
where did you come from? Oh, it's no news stories.
no.
There's no tidbits we could glean from anybody on the inside of this deal. Like, oh my
Oh, there's
God.
so much. I held back. No.
It's
Yeah.
the 27th first episode. It's great.
I mean, it's how we roll, right? Every time it's something new. There's a new and exciting thing, and you can tell that we're not pros at all. So,
Yeah. Okay.
I love it. I'm having fun now.
oh, it's good, man. It's good. We're and again, I mean, you've endeared yourself to me just by being willing to be on it. It was a text message like, "Hey, do you want to be on a pod this
Sure.
afternoon? Let's." You didn't even hesitate.
get it.
So we like
You guys do it every week?
We do.
every week. Every week.
I mean, I'll be on anytime you guys want.
Great.
I mean, that's perfect.
I've got a lot
man.
more stuff.
I love it.
So
I love it.
So just changing gears again, just a little bit, and we typically in our show prep meeting that's 5 minutes long while I plug in everything and make sure that everything starts
Like,
working
kick
again.
a few more plugs.
Yeah, pretty much. Typically I'll just kind of scan through CE Pro, see if anything's going on. But I did, an article popped up that I guess according to their metrics, it looks like they have a stat that dedicated theaters are making a comeback. I guess probably part of all their the research that they did to get the top 100 companies and the top 100 brands and all that stuff. It seems like that there is a resurgence in dedicated theaters, and that kind of struck me a little bit because I haven't really been. I don't know. I've never been a real dedicated theaters are awesome. Like, don't get me wrong, but just maybe my life is too hectic with two kids and everything to like have a space in your home that isn't just covered in toys and hobbies and BS and whatever. Like actually has a good room. That was kind of a surprise. According to CE Pro, it looks like there was a 43% spike in dedicated home theater room projects, and the median on that is like $63,000 for a theater. And again, I was kind of curious. Like, it kind of surprised me. I honestly thought that theaters were probably going the other way, right? That it was all going to be maybe you'd still see them or whatever, but they were kind of dying off just because people don't have space. Combined rooms and that kind of thing are kind of taken off. But Jayson, I kind of wanted to bounce it off you because you are definitely a high performance theater guy, right? And
I've done a few rooms in my day.
I mean, and it's not that I don't appreciate it. Like, I went through ISF, I went through HAA,
Sure.
decades and decades ago. I appreciate, trying to lift a GX90 onto the ceiling, with 17 other guys trying to make that
Yeah.
work. But I mean, what's your take? Like, what do you think? Is there, is that dedicated thing? Is it growing by that much?
I think it's just skewing upwards. I think that's really, what you would maybe, maybe it's, I'm gonna be nice here and say that it's not interpretation or spin, but my perception of what that article says is that, like all things lately, it seems to be skewing upwards, right? You've got more people that would be in that quote unquote 1% range post COVID and all that other exciting stuff going on out there. That, yeah, I've built a bigger house or I've got a nicer place and I've always wanted to have a movie theater. Well, guess what? You want to do a dedicated room now. It's not the $10,000 or $15,000 ham and egg home theater anymore, right?
Right.
Like that's done. Like, as much as we live and die on the $6,000-$7,000 projector sale, and there's still a lot of those happening out there. But in terms of like dedicated room, like bigger space, that ain't it. It's a higher end ticket to get in the door, and I'm surprised. I'm personally surprised that they're saying that the category is growing. I think my perception would be is that the rooms that are going together are just more upmarket, and guess what? It's not 25 or 30 grand to put a theater in your house anymore. It's more like six figures, probably
Yeah.
gets you something really sweet with, risers and furniture and lighting and audio and all the bells and whistles.
Well, and it according to the article again, like it's basically the ticket, the ticket of admission last year was 43,000, and this year it's 63,000, right? So that's your 40% jump or so from year to year, right? But like, what, I mean, are we talking, and I know you can really go all out. You could do acoustical treatments and everything else, but I mean, yeah, that just was kind of a surprise to me.
The stuff costs more too, right? Like, I think that's part of it. Like, yeah, trust me, I want an XW 5000 yes for my house, for my scale of house, right? But for a client that's going all out, sorry, $6,000, that's not enough horsepower. I need that $30,000 light cannon. I need definitive to come out and throw a screen up and do it right for me. So what does that cost to do? Guess what? It costs more these days than you probably realize.
Well, everything costs more too. I wonder if part of that percentage, do you think that these are brand new builds, or like I remember when I started installing, 20 years ago, what we were seeing was people were going from the huge 3-gun projectors to the smaller lamps. I wonder if that's happening now. It's one of those cycles where people are either they're buying a home that has a theater in it, they're building a home and putting a theater in it. They already own the house and want to redo the entire theater. I wonder if they factor all that
Yeah,
stuff into it as well.
that's a good point. I know, just some, we'll just say, anonymous data points from some of our high end home theater guys, or high end builder guys, just in general. I can think of probably, we'll just call it 20 good sized projects underway right now. There might be one or two that have quote unquote dedicated spaces in them for theater. But overwhelmingly they've got the mixed entertainment space.
Yeah.
With an LED wall, or hey, 100-inch flat panel is just fine for
Right.
for a lot of people. And I mean, I remember when they brought out 98-inch TVs, and they're like, oh my God, it's gonna kill the home theater business. And it's like, no, it's just $25,000, $60,000 television. I had to look a client in the face and tell them that was a solid investment. Like,
Right.
you're definitely going to get the value out of this television, sir. But
Absolutely.
here we are, 10 years later, and a 100-inch TV is sub $10,000.
True. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that skews this number. So I guess, I mean, I don't know. I'm not throwing rocks at this article or the writer, or whoever. Who is the writer of this one anyway? So we can attribute it to them.
I can
Maybe you can
find
pull
out.
that up. But
It's so one of the things that the article specifically mentions is it's Arlen Schwager,
Okay.
is the editor in chief. I mean, I thought it was a good article. One of the points that they make is, now with all these new surround sound formats, you're talking physically more speakers in the space, right? So
Sure.
okay, so maybe that
That's a good point
accounts
too.
for part of it. Now you've got
That's true. More channels.
6 new speakers in the ceiling, however that is.
These guys have got 11 speakers in the room, right?
Right. And then, it's sort of a compounding effect. It's not mentioned in the article, but it would stand to reason that, okay, now you need more channels of amplification. Now you need better sources, right? If you're going to push this thing, now you need better, you
Gotta
need a
get that
kaleidoscope.
kaleidoscope in there. You gotta get the Mad VR in there. You gotta get the bomb projector in there. Well, I was
Right.
gonna do the 6,000. I might as well pop for the extra brightness and go for the 7,000 ES. Like, I
Right.
get it.
So, and that's, that's part of it too, but I'm sure that there's, some trade-offs, right? So obviously, yeah, more channels is more dollars, but there's other things, that are probably driving that cost down, right? UST setups. So now you don't need to mount the thing in the middle of the ceiling. You can have it
What
right
was
next
were
to the
those
screen.
ones counted too?
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know, maybe.
yeah. It wasn't specifically mentioned, but it was, yeah. I mean, that counts as a theater if you have a dedicated room
Not in my book.
with
Wrong.
your. Okay, this is why I want to bring it, because you're a purist, right? But like, okay, so why isn't a UST in a light controlled room? Why isn't that a theater to you?
It's blasphemy. It's
120
trickery.
inch screen. I mean, it's a big screen, right? Like,
You know
what are we
what?
talking
I'm
here?
not here to yuck on anybody's yum.
Nope.
I just, I don't know. It's just not the way I would do it. How else would I say it? really want to nerd out on it, you've got light bouncing like up onto
Sure.
the ceiling, like in terms of high performance. You really want to have the light coming down off the ceiling back into your eyes.
Yeah,
I,
then they're gonna have to spend more money on a specific screen for it
right.
too.
And then you've
If
got
you
the
want to avoid all
optics.
that.
You've got the
Yeah.
optics distortion from having to make that short focal length work and very high angle of attack. Just
Okay.
a lot of physics that just, I mean,
So
again, if
you
you really
want
want
to
to get in the weeds with it, just because you can see an image on the screen doesn't necessarily qualify it as high fidelity, high performance, or home theater. Just
so
Or
so
my,
my opinion.
what I'm hearing here is that you are unequivocally dismissing this thing as not real, that this is a parlor trick,
Oh
right? That
no!
this,
Trust me, as
people who
somebody
you do, yeah.
who dragged around, the GTZ one and the VPO VW 1000 ES, which were basically coffin sized,
Right.
or coffee table sized front short throw projectors. I mean,
So you
great.
suffered, so others would have to suffer
Yeah,
as
so
well.
now
Okay, got it.
now that you could have one that comes in you can put in your check-on bag or whatever. I mean, again, I'm not mad at anybody. And listen, a big TV may not work for everybody, but I can get the screen up the stairs and throw a short throw projector down and get a 120-inch image. Hey, man, go for it. Rock on. Like,
Go for it.
just my opinion is that's not high performance home theater. That's just a big image on a screen and killer. Go for it.
So
Like,
I don't mean to put you on a spot or make you say anything that you would maybe get in trouble
here we
here
go.
for, but to me, like, help me out here. Like, where is the line? Are we talking? Would a
I would say it's not a dollar amount, but I think in my mind it's a format.
okay,
It's a more dedicated room, at least with an attempt to have
okay,
speakers in the appropriate location with surround sound, with seating location in a relative distance to the screen that's comfortable, and somebody thought about it without just throwing couches in the room.
and
Right?
I
And not
understand.
not a conference room projector,
One
right?
hundred
Sure,
Not a
percent.
totally,
classroom projector.
Something
Yeah.
totally
built for
get that.
video.
Yep, not a BenQ
Yeah.
or something. I completely understand where you're coming from, but is that so? Okay, so in your mind, the definition of a theater, it's not necessarily two-piece projection is the definition, right? So a big video wall, but inside of a dedicated room with seating
Correct.
and acoustics and everything else, that's totally fine, but not an ultra short throw. That's what you're
Right.
saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, all right.
That's why
I'll die on
Sony
that
doesn't
hill.
make one
Hey.
anymore, right? Sony did it, and they're like, "Yeah, this isn't cool."
No, and again, it's not for any other reason. And that I have a picture in my head of what a home theater is, and it's basically I get it. I mean, I would probably even say it's two-piece projection, or it's a screen, it's functionality of a screen size or something else. Definitely dedicated chairs. Only one thing you could do in this room is watch movies and television. It's dedicated
Right.
for that purpose. But yeah, that's why. Again,
And
I'm asking about UST.
if UST is your only choice, and we've seen it plenty, guess what?
Sure.
Nobody's mad. Nobody said you did it wrong. Like it's custom. It suits you. That's what this is all about, right? It's tailored. It's bespoke. This is a solution that fits your need. That's what custom AV really is all about. So, don't take my word for it. But if you're asking for my opinion, it's all hogwash. Forget
So,
it.
so one more question for the witness. So, as your Apple Vision Pro, right? You walk into a dark room in your home. It's dedicated to it. It has a plug right there. You sit down in your theater chairs. You put on your Apple Vision Pro, and now you're presented with a 140-inch screen that fully envelopes you in the experience with sound to match. Theater
So-
or
Well,
not?
I guess real quick, a question on that.
Sure.
When you have those, can multiple people have the same experience?
I believe so. I mean, you'd probably
Because
have to
to
do
me,
some
that's-
trickery, like hit play at the same time or something.
Oh,
That's a good point, though.
See, Jesse and
I
I
think-
are already like mentally connected because
Yeah,
movie
'cause
watching is a shared experience.
Because when you say theater, and then coming from a music background, right? That's what it is. That's what's fun about certain movies or performances. You go to a concert, or even a sporting event. You're sharing it with others.
Shared experience.
I mean,
Okay.
a guy could walk into a theater in his house and watch a movie by himself.
Sure.
something Pee Wee Herman was probably into, but
Whoa, whoa.
too soon.
How come these popcorn buckets don't have bottoms?
But I'm thinking
Custom.
that, you know, yeah, cut. Those are custom popcorn buckets.
Wow.
But that short throw or non-short throw, I think that the shared experience in that dedicated room or whatever your environment is, I think that that would, you know, make it more of a theater than
You know,
than a
and
living
that,
room.
honest to God, that is an angle that I had not thought of, and I'm glad you brought it up because I think that is a really good definition of what a theater is. It's an experience, and exactly for
Yeah.
the reason that you said, it's an experience that you can share, you know, with your friends.
Yeah, I mean, I had you know, the year the Seahawks won the Super Bowl, my friend had built out his basement, and it was a theater, and I'm pretty sure Jayson would approve of the whole thing, other than the Epson that was hanging in there.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with
listen,
Epson.
I got lots of friends at Epson, and I mean, again,
But
USD to your heart's content. Go ahead.
yeah, and my point is, we watched the Super Bowl in that room, and that shared experience made it better than sitting in a living room or a basement. Or
That's what it's all about, right?
And I do think the size of the screen is very important when you're considering it a theater, not a 65-inch TV. But
Okay.
the shared experience, I think that would be my definition of a theater.
And that's, I mean, it seems like
In
it
a
would go hand
dedicated
in
room.
hand. In a dedicated room. Okay, so dedicated
Yeah.
room, dedicated
Dedicated
seating,
room.
some kind of soundproofing, right? Some attention paid to the overall sonic quality of the space,
Placement.
and and a giant screen. And
Yeah.
if you're Jayson, definitely not UST because that sucks. Your words, not mine.
Wow. I mean, let's put an asterisk and a quote around that, right?
But no, I like that definition. I think that definition is great, and I think that's you know, that kind of goes along with sort of what we talk about, you know, through the last 26 episodes or so. It's you're building an experience for your client, right? And that should be your definition. Is okay. This is a space that I can share an experience with people I love and friends, and you know, people maybe I don't love but are just there for the day. And that's your, you know, that's a great. I think that's a great definition.
He's just here until the turkey's gone, and then he's leaving.
And I'm out. with a gallon size Ziploc. Too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. He's taking a tray of ziti home with him. Get out, right?
Yeah. We can tell just by the food that we called out the cultural backgrounds of everybody on this on the pod today. You got
By
Chris
what they
eating
have
ziti.
for
Yeah, exactly.
That's your holiday dinner.
Yeah, I'm thinking like turkey wings and turkey legs. You know,
Hey,
Chris has got ziti.
we do all the same stuff, but it always there's lasagna and there's ziti, and you know, for Christmas
Dude,
there's like
I
seven
miss
fish.
having
so-
East Coast Italian friends out here. I got to tell you, buddy,
Some people have lasagna. Some people have that green bean casserole.
or both, right?
and there's nothing wrong with that either.
I've
so-
never seen both. I've never seen both in the same house, but
Oh man, yeah. Well, good times.
All right, boys.
I also
Go ahead.
I was just going to say one thing real quick. I also went to culinary school at one point, so I'm a hell
Oh
of a
yeah,
cook.
no, we're
Just
welcome
throw
to the
that in
team. We're having all our meetings at your club.
If we're all together somewhere, then
We're gonna do it up. Yeah, so we'll be for folks out there. Hopefully, maybe you'll be coming through to Cedia. We want to make sure that you get in touch with us for, you know, whether it's a hang, whether it's a walk around the floor. Obviously, if you're in the Portland market or Oregon market, Southern Idaho markets, we want to make sure you get on Jesse's calendar. If you're in any of my markets, Alaska, come on, Jamie, come on down, buddy. I'm sure we'll see you.
Our one, our dude,
Our
boy.
one dude,
Yep.
our one dude up in Alaska.
He's coming. He's got a. I talked to him last week. He's making. It's not quite the Georgia to Alaska voyage, but he's
this
doing
guy.
like Alaska to Florida to Denver, or Alaska to Scottsdale to Denver, or something. He was talking about it.
Yeah. How can you afford to live in Alaska? Well, I just live on my air miles because all I do is go from Florida to Alaska.
The guy's on. Yeah, the guy's on a plane more than Taylor Swift. That's how he rolls. So.
T-Swizz. Well,
There you go.
Okay. But anyways, to our folks out there that are listening, if you're going to Cedia, we'd love to get together with you. You know, there'll be plenty of stuff going on. We'll be looking for some time to get together with you. So, you know, again, ping us, reach out to us, let us know what's going on out there. Jesse, glad to have you on the team, man. Glad to have you on the pod. I think I think we've got a permanent, semi-permanent third chair reserved for you whenever.
Dude, I'm down. I'm
Whenever
totally
you're
down.
available. So yeah, it's great.
Totally down.
I want to hear some more stories.
I got them. And I'm from Alaska too, so I got some of those stories. But
There you
I was
go.
going to say that I'm looking forward to CEDIA because, well, not just meeting everybody, but I haven't been since it was in Dallas. So I don't know, was that 2015?
It was back there 2 years ago. You're talking about before.
I'm talking about. Oh yeah,
in the
so see,
before
I don't even know
times,
because
right.
yeah, when you when you work in a distribution branch, they don't let you do that stuff.
Sure.
So you don't get to travel to those. They might pluck one or two guys. Like last year, Johnny got to go. Johnny Hopper over.
Friend of the
managed-
show. Love
yeah.
Mr. Hopper and his wife Whitney.
He's a great guy. So he got to go last year. He's kind of a rock star to the company. So
Yeah.
they picked him. Good looking guy. Doesn't have kids
You're
at
into that.
home.
If
Charismatic.
you're into conventionally attractive, that's
You're into
sure,
like
whatever.
muscly 30-something
Well, look,
year old
they-
dudes.
They
No
never
big deal.
picked me, dude.
Physically fit with their whole lives ahead of them. That guy.
They didn't pick me.
Oh,
Yeah, so I am looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
That's good. There's gonna be a lot. I mean, on the rep side, it's maybe not the privilege.
yeah, get yourself
That's
some
okay.
new shoes.
Yeah.
I've always when I travel, and this might be from my Alaska roots, but I always travel with multiple pairs of footwear, no matter what.
I was
the
going to say
occasion is.
gun, but
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Well,
You're not gonna. Yeah, there's only one bear you're gonna run into in Denver, so don't worry about that. You're good. You're good.
Yeah,
to
you'll be
in some
fine.
circles, I'm considered a bear, so
Whoa.
I don't hang out with those friends very often. But
It's fine. This is a judgment-free podcast. We love everybody.
It's true, and it was Pride
Absolutely.
Month until. But yeah, Jesse, thank you again. Really glad you're on
Thanks
the
for
team.
having me,
and,
guys.
thanks for humoring us with this silly thing, and man, we're looking forward to talking to you again soon. So
yeah,
everybody out
I'm
there,
definitely down.
everybody out there, please smash that subscribe button. Follow us on socials.
This is a good one. You want to listen to this one.
Get in touch. This is a good one. So thank you again.